Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Matterhorn Business Development Live here Friday afternoon. It's 12 o'clock where we are. It's February 11th. So you're probably just signing in or you're watching this later, but welcome either way. I'm joined today by Abby. What's up?
Hello. Thanks
How's
for
it
having
going?
me.
Yeah. Welcome to the channel.
Yeah, it's great to be here.
So today we are going to talk about selling. It's not the most popular subject that we talk about per se, but it's actually the most important one. And I think people just don't like selling, or they feel sleazy or slimy having to sell stuff. And therefore, it's kind of like something that we don't want to talk about. It's something we don't want to learn about. We just don't like it. So I want to talk today about selling when you don't feel like you are a salesman, or when you feel like it's bad to sell things, because it's not actually bad to sell. And Abby's here because, well, it's the two of us, so she's here. But also, Abby never was actually a salesperson until recently either. So, that's also a really good thing. So, Abby, you can talk briefly about your comments on that.
Yeah, I think just we have Neil here, who's kind of like sales genius guy who's sold a lot a lot of values of services and things in his life already. But I am more of an operations back end organizational person. And then, in the past year, I've really had to step up and sell myself, and I don't have an option to not to. And I don't really enjoy it. Mostly because I don't, for me personally, and I think that's what I bring to this conversation, is that other viewpoint of someone who doesn't consider themselves a sales genius. Is I'm still getting used to doing it. I'm still learning, myself, and I'm just not confident in it yet. I think once I'm confident in it, I'll be fine and I won't dislike it anymore. So I think it's just, you need the knowledge to be confident in it, to not hate it anymore. And then also understand that you're really just helping someone, and that it's just part of your job right now. It's part of being a business owner, is you've got to sell yourself and sell your product. So I've had the benefit of listening to Neil and my dad for many years. So I know a lot of things. And my biggest piece of advice right now will be to listen to whatever Neil says, because honestly, I just do that and it ends up working out. So even if it feels uncomfortable, you're like, ooh, I don't know. I don't feel comfortable saying that. It's got to be real to you. But if you just try it once, you'll see that Neil knows what he's talking about here.
It's one thing I do know.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the main thing when it comes to selling, here's the thing to keep in mind about selling. Okay, so most people with their business get into business not because they like selling, but because they like their product, or they like the thing that they do. So I'll go back to the bricklayer metaphors that we use in a lot of the videos. So if you're a bricklayer and you love making art with bricks, and fixing bricks and building brick houses and things like that, and you go, man, I wish I could just do this every day, right? I wish I didn't have to worry about anything else in my business. I wish I could just sit here and lay bricks all day. I have a lot of fun. Well, the reason you don't get to lay bricks all day is because you haven't sold enough jobs to go and lay bricks for. So if you want to get your product out there and you want to do the actual thing that you like doing, you have to sell it, or else you can't do it. So it's one of those interesting things where your sales part of the business is entirely dependent on how much you can deliver, and how much you can deliver is entirely dependent on how much can you sell. So if I manufacture bicycles and somebody wants an order for 10,000 bicycles, I can't sell them 10,000 bicycles if I can only produce 50 bicycles. So there's a balance that has to be had there. But what tends to happen is we get all fixated into our production of bicycles, our production of our product, and then we don't have the ability to sell to that level of our production, and vice versa. So you have to be able to sell the product, or else you won't ever actually do anything with your product. Sorry if you see me tossing pieces of paper off. My cat is getting into things and I distract her. So your sales and delivery of your product or whatever it is that you do are interconnected, and you won't get to do one without the other. So if you really love laying bricks and you hate selling bricks, you have two options. One, you have to learn how to sell bricks, or two, you just have to find somebody who's a really good salesman and doesn't know anything about laying bricks. Those are your only two options that you have there. Increase sales to increase your production. That's what you have to do. Now, as the bricklayer, as the person that's going out there and making these beautiful things that people love, and you've got your pizza ovens that are outside that are all brick, and you've got all these things that you do, you're actually the most qualified person to sell your product because you are the one who does produce it. So there's that catch-22 that occurs there. So you have to be able to balance your sales skills with your delivery skills. And if your delivery skills of your product are a 10 out of a 10 and your sales skills are a 2 out of a 10, then you're going to deliver 4 out of 10. Well, actually, really 2 out of 10. Your delivery is only going to be up to the level of 2 because that's all you can sell. That makes more sense. So you have to figure out where your strengths lie. And you have to learn how to actually help the customers get the product that you have. So if you're really good at delivery, the first thing that you have to understand about selling is that there's nothing bad with selling. Okay. If you sell fantastic bricks and fantastic designs with bricks, then there's no problem with you going to talk to people about your product and about what it is that you do, because you sell a great product, you deliver what you promise you're going to give them. You say, I'm going to build you this thing, and then you do it every time and people love it. Then that means there's nothing wrong with you going to people and talking to them about what they need and how much it's going to cost and how to do it. That's where it comes down to, is your sales abilities limit your ability to lay those bricks. And so you, as the guy who lays these bricks and does this product, has to be able to communicate at such a level as your ability to deliver those bricks into people's hands. So that's the first thing that you have to understand. It's not a problem for you to talk to people about money. Okay. If somebody calls you and says, Abby, I want you to build me this brick oven outside, you can't sit there and feel bad about telling them that it's going to cost them money. They said, I want you to come out and tell me how much this is going to cost. There's nothing wrong with you then saying, this is how much it's going to cost to do what you want to do. You can't feel bad about telling people your pricing if that's what they want. Now, if you knock on my door and you say, look, I make these amazing ovens and they cost $10,000 and they're all made out of bricks, I'm going to be like, okay, I'm really not interested. I didn't want you to be there. I didn't know you were coming out. It's not something I need and want. Then you could feel awkward about asking for money in that situation. But when somebody's like, hey, I'm interested in these things that you do, and you give them a price, that's not your fault if they think it's too high or something along that line. So your job as a salesman is to help the person get what they need and get what they want. That's all you're trying to do.
And recently, we actually had this discussion with a chiropractic client of mine, and we asked her, do you think you're a salesperson? And she said no. But she has to sell care packages for cash patients that are, valuable. Like it's not cheap, but she also knows the quality of her chiropractic care and that she can actually help someone get out of pain. So we had to talk with her about that and about her role. And then on the next call, she had 100% closing rate on her cash patients, because it wasn't about she was just trying to get money out of them or being slimy or, had a consideration about the price. She just knew you need these adjustments to get out of pain, and this is how much it's going to be, and these are your payment options. And that's all it is. It doesn't have to be like a used car salesman pitch, fake thing. It's just the facts really that you're laying out to someone. Yeah.
Yeah, that's absolutely correct.
Yeah.
Her job is to help people get out of pain. All she's trying to do through selling her procedures is to get people out of pain and to get them healthy and happy again.
Mm-hmm.
So as a salesman, you don't look at it as I'm a salesman. You look at it as I'm here to help somebody. And if
Right.
your job is to help somebody solve a problem, whether it's a personal health thing like a chiropractor or some aesthetic needed want through my bricklaying company or something of that nature, then that's what you're there to do, is you're there to help that person out. And when you acknowledge or understand that you are there to sell them something, it actually becomes easier because you go, I'm just trying to help this person get what they want, Now, if somebody comes in and says to the chiropractor, oh yeah, I really want, I don't know, let's come up with something ridiculous here. I want bright shoes. I want clean, bright shoes. And you're like, well, I can give you some adjustments and you'll walk better. Like, that's a different thing. Like, okay,
Yeah.
well, you want shoes. I want to help you walk better. And that's two separate things. And if the person is just set on solving all of their problems through new shoes, you're not going to really be able to help that person because they actually don't understand what their spine and their legs and their ankles and joints do to help them walk better or something like that, right? So it really just comes down to answering people's questions and talking to them and giving them true and factual information. A recent example that I had in this week was I got a phone call from somebody who found my website for one of my other businesses and was asking me really good questions. And I could tell that this person had been doing a lot of research and had probably talked to a lot of other companies that do similar things to me. And all I did was just very politely answer her questions, find out what problem it is that they're trying to solve. Why do you want this product? What is it that you want from it? Do you want this or do you want that? And I just answered all of her questions. And about 25 minutes into the phone conversation, she goes, you know what? I have talked to 4 other companies and you are the first one that doesn't sound like a salesman.
Which is very funny because Neil is like the salesman of all salesmen.
I just sell stuff all day, every day for 3 different companies. That's what I do. So I just laughed. I didn't say this because I hadn't met the person face to face. If we were face to face and that comes out of somebody's mouth and I'm there and I'm with them, I'd go, well, I'm the first actual salesman you've actually talked to. Then it's funny. If you do that over the phone, it comes across differently when you haven't met that person. You don't have that connection to them, right? But I just sort of said, well, I completely understand. I just said, my job's just simply to help you get what you need and want. And I think I can do that for you. So I went out, I met with her. She had pieces of paper and a notebook, and there was a different piece of paper for each other company that she had spoken to. And she had all these notes and all these things. So she was taking down everything they said and comparing prices. It's this and that, and all these other things. And I was like, okay, you've obviously done your research. And I said, I think I can get you everything that you need. This is how much it's going to cost. And it was like, well, that's more expensive than what these 3 other companies said. And this company said that it was going to be this price, which was half of my cost. And I just said, listen, I understand that it's half as much. I can just tell you that my equipment and what I'm going to do cost me way more than that. So you get what you pay for. It's totally up to you. And the next day she called me and said, yeah, I want you to do it. And I was not the cheapest guy by far. I was right up there with the expensive guys, but I was the one that wasn't a salesman. I was the one that just answered their questions, gave them the information that they needed and wanted, and found out what they needed and wanted, and said, I can do that. And here's how it works. And this is how much it costs. And so we got the job. And that just tells me that I'm doing the right thing, because the other company was literally half the cost. Actually, it was more than half. It was less than half. They were coming in a lot less, but I was able to get them to buy my products and services because I took the time to answer all their questions and not sell them anything. And that's the thing is when you just answer somebody's questions and give them factual information, you don't have to sell anything. They buy it from you because that's what they want. They're looking for what you have. There's no reason for me to try and sell it.
And you can actually, if you're asking the right questions, make the sales process. This is what I kind of recently learned is you can make that sales interview or discovery call, whatever you want to call it, actually valuable to the customer. I have this questionnaire that I go through with people if they book a call with Matterhorn. And it was a questionnaire my dad made. And I just started following it. And even though some of the questions felt uncomfortable for me to ask or something, because I'm digging into people's businesses
How
here.
much money do you make? How much retirement do you have? What's your overhead?
What keeps you
How
up
are you living?
What keeps you up at night? What's going to happen if you don't solve this problem you have? They're hard questions for someone that I don't know, for getting on a call with a stranger, But what I have found is for the people who are actually qualified in the sense of they want the services that I'm offering, they don't mind answering the questions. And then I actually had someone, it was my very first sales call since my dad passed away. It was the first sale. I had done a couple by myself before, but this was kind of like a new era, a new level of terror for me. But I literally just took the questionnaire that he had. I asked the questions. And at the end of the call, the person was like, wow, I've never thought about this before. Like, thank you for asking these questions. They thanked me for doing my sales interview with them. And then at the end, it was simply just like, all right, well, this is what I do to help you with everything we just talked about. This is the pricing. What do you want to do? And it was, even though it was out of my comfort zone and I didn't want to ask those questions, I did. And it was the smoothest experience for both of us on that call.
Exactly. And we have a good question here in the chat.
Question. Yeah.
Vicus says, I manage a team and some of my members don't want to sell because we multitask. How do I get them to like sales and the entire process and mindset to sell? Well, that's a bit of there's a lot to unpack there. I think the thing that you have to get them to understand is that their job is to help the person that they're going to see. So if they ask enough questions to find out what problem the person is trying to solve, you actually become a problem solver. That's really your job in sales, is to solve somebody's problem. I don't know what the multitasking is that you're referring to.
Like maybe doing other positions in the office, like you're also
probably
doing project management and maybe other areas, working in other areas than just sales, it sounds like.
Yeah, that's difficult because again, your ability to produce is limited to your ability to sell. So you might need somebody who is a salesperson to handle that, because it's two different functions. The delivery of your bricks and the selling of your bricks are two different hats. And if I'm the business owner, it's easy for me to say, I'm going to this job not as a bricklayer, but as the guy selling the bricks, whereas I'm going to this job to make something beautiful with my bricks. That can become difficult because most people that you hire are not there because they want to sell. They're there because they want to do the brick aspect. So Vicus, you have to get people to understand that their job is to help the person, not sell them something. Find out what the problem is, it's a diagnosis, really. What is it you're trying to solve? This is how we help you do it, and this is how it works. This is how much it costs. How would you normally pay for something like that? Or when can we get started? Those are the only things that you can do in that regard, because your delivery people are probably not feeling like it's their job to sell because they're not the owner of the business, so they don't care how much money comes in. So you can bonus them on sales. You can bonus them on income. You can bonus them on how much money the company makes. Give them a little bit of a percentage. That gets them more interested in selling. But you have to get them to understand that it's their job to help the person. So it's not that we're here to sell, it's because we're here to diagnose a problem. I'm going to give you an example of something that happened to me this week. Somebody went to my website and scheduled a Zoom call with me to go over a demonstration of my one of my products. I go in, they're not there. I call their office. They tell me that person works from home. I send an email, no response. I'm in the Zoom room for a half an hour while I'm doing other stuff on my computer. And finally, I give up. And about 3 hours later, I get a text. And all it says is, "How does it work?" I don't even know who this is from. It just says, how does this work? And I'm like, "Hi, what's your name?" And it's just, we'll just say Bill. Not even a last name, just Bill, right? It's Bill. Okay, I know who this person must be because I had a Zoom call with Bill 3 hours ago that he never showed up for. And his question is just, how much is it? Mm-hmm. Now, I provide a very detailed service. I'm not answering a price question off of somebody who can't even communicate with me or answer any of my questions. So I said, "Listen, that's a very detailed question. I'd have to actually talk to you. Can we talk on the phone?" "No, I can only text." So I'm not answering a price question. Honestly, I'm not even interested in talking to this person because I don't know what they need. I don't know why they need my product. So I just said, "Listen, I can't answer that without any information about what you need my service for, how, I don't know." And they said, "Fine, thanks. Never mind." Okay. That was what I was supposed to work with to sell. I'm not going to answer a price question. I'm not going to answer anything like that through a text when I don't know anything about you. You're not willing to give me any information. You're not even willing to tell me the company that you're representing or calling from. I don't know who you are. I don't have any way of helping you. I'm just not going to answer those questions. And a normal salesperson would have probably spent all day trying to chase this person down, convince them to talk to them on the phone, or
paragraph-long text.
Yeah, paragraph-long text,
everything,
pricing information. No, I'm not doing that. Yeah. I don't know why you want my service. Yeah. I'm not answering any question if I don't know why I'm here to help you. And that is just the way I operate. That's just the way I do it. And if I had sent the guy the answer to his question, if I had said, "Oh, it costs this much," he would have said the same thing. "Never mind, not interested."
Right.
Because he's not even willing to give me anything more than his name of Bill. And his email address wasn't anything related to his company. It was like a Gmail account. So I have no idea what business he's with, where he's at. It was just full of holes. And I'm like, I'm not even wasting my time on this guy because I can't help you if I don't know what you want help with. And so as a salesperson, it's not your job to sell the product. It's your job to answer their questions. But most importantly, it's to find out why they want you to do a job or service for them. And if you don't figure those things out, you have no idea what you're doing, and you're just throwing pricing information at everybody, and you're hoping somebody eventually says, "Yeah, okay, let's do it," and then pays you. Or it's like, "Yeah, this is how much it costs. I'll send you a QuickBooks thing, and you can just pay there." But you have no idea if they want to do it, if they're interested in doing it. You keep checking like every hour, you're like refreshing to see if they paid you money, like, is there money in my bank account yet? You have zero control over what's going on because you don't even know why they want you to do anything for them. So the job of a salesperson is to help solve a problem. You can't solve a problem if you don't know what that problem is or what that person wants to do. So I'll usually figure out what they need, want help with, and then I'll throw a price out and I just look at their reaction. If the eyebrows come up, I'll say, "Was that more than you thought it was going to be? What were you expecting?" "Oh yeah, that's way more." I said, "Okay, well, I understand. Did what I said make sense to you? Do you understand why this is that way? What questions do you have?" And then I just go back into what problem it is that they're trying to solve again and just stop talking about money because You just have to show to them why your service is going to solve that problem for them. It's not about the money. It's about other reasons. And the only reason that you think people aren't paying you because your product is too expensive or something like that is because you haven't asked enough questions and you haven't gotten enough details to solve their problem. So that's why they don't pay you. And you go, see, we're too expensive. It's not about the money. I just sold something to somebody for twice as much as the other company because I actually figured out what the problem was and told them how my product was going to solve the problem. And I let them decide and go, yeah, we want you to do it instead. That is a real salesman, but it's also just having enough information to solve that problem. And going back to this text message guy, he wants me to give him pricing. I don't even know who he is, where he's from. I don't know why he wants my product or service. He got an email and just expects me to give him pricing. I can't do that because I don't know what the problem is. So your first and foremost job is to solve a person's problem and figure that out. You might have to ask 10 questions, 100 questions to figure out what that problem is. But one of the things I covered in one of our other videos is if you don't understand what their problem is, don't talk about money. Because it's not a problem that you can duplicate actually solving. So don't talk about money until you fully understand what that problem is. And after you fully understand the problem, and I go, Abby, I get it. You want this and you want this, and you don't want any of that stuff because X, Y, and Z. They go, yes, exactly. You go, perfect. I can do that for you, and this is how much it costs. They go, great. Because you've understood what they're actually talking about. Money is a complete, like, it doesn't have anything to do with selling. It has nothing to do with selling if you understand what their problem is. And that's where people get lost.
Yeah. And I actually experienced this recently where, here with our coaching services, we're usually talking about business growth and business strategy, as well as profit first and implementing profit first. But I had two people recently book calls with me, and I have like just a little questionnaire before the call. So I have somewhat of an idea of what I'm walking into and what their business is about. So I knew that they were more interested in profit first. And instead of doing my whole big questionnaire that really is more on the business growth, business strategy side of things, I just said, look, I have this other side of the business that we do, but it sounds like you really are just interested in profit first implementation. And they were like, yeah, exactly. And I could have tried to sell them the other side and figure out,
make more money.
Right.
Yeah.
Get more money, get more sale, longer retention. But the person told me like, look, I actually feel really good about that. We're growing great. I just don't know what to do with the money side of things. So I was like, okay, great. Here are our packages, and here's how I can adapt it so that we're just talking about profit first. This is the pricing. This is what you would get. And again, those people both thanked me, and they said, thank you for not trying to sell me more than what I wanted. Like, I just wanted profit first. Mm-hmm. And now those people signed up with me and are very happy because I was just honest up front. So you don't have to it's not a money motivated thing. I just was there to figure out how can I help them best. And that was the way that I could help them best.
Exactly. And obviously, this is the entry point to selling. As you're selling bigger products, more competition, other companies that are out there selling different things that are similar to yours, but obviously it moves into a different realm of selling. It does become a little bit more intense, a little bit more pressure. It does become a little bit different. I have sold many, many different styles of services. And, at one of our dad's other companies that I was a public speaker for, I would get a very little bit of time where I could sit down with a business owner. We were working with dentists. I could sit down with a dentist during one of my seminars where I was in their city, and I had 45 minutes with this person. And in that 45 minutes, I had to figure out exactly what the problem was, exactly how to fix it. But the good news is they had already heard me lecture for 3 hours. So I could take the information that I already lectured and say, this is how we're going to solve your problem. And then I had to get them signed up and paid and all that type of stuff. And it is a different environment. It is a much faster pace, and you have to really be, your sales skill has to be really on point to get that sale in that environment, because you don't have the luxury of checking in with them next week, dropping by their office and visiting with them, because I'm in Florida and they're in California. I've got a short window here. That's where business sales and things like that can get pretty difficult, and really only the strong do survive. But if we're really looking at like normal day-to-day businesses, the bricklayers, the small business owners, things like that, you have time to figure out what the problem is. You have time to draw up custom diagrams and take it in like a step-by-step kind of a way, like what I did with this customer who said, you're the first person who wasn't a salesman. I already knew at that point I had the sale. It didn't matter how many other people she called that did what I did. I was already at the top of the list, even if I wasn't the cheapest, just because I took my time and I did what I needed to do. So what did I do after speaking on the phone? I went to their house. I met with them. I showed them some samples of what it is that we do, how it works. I said, listen, talk to your husband. Give me a call tomorrow, whatever. You guys take your time. If you have any other questions, let me know. I took my time on that because I already knew where I was at. But like I said, with my other sales that I've done, I might have a very short window to where it's like, listen, you got to sign up today, because if you say you're going to call me tomorrow, you're not going to call me tomorrow. I'm out of the state. Even though you want to call me tomorrow and you tell me that you're going to call me tomorrow, you're not going to call me tomorrow. So if you're going to do it, you kind of have to decide. If what I've said this morning makes sense to you, then I can help you. If you still aren't sure about what I talked about or whether or not I've like got all my marbles, it's not going to work, because what I taught you this morning is what you're going to learn. And so like I had to be a little bit more direct and say that in a polite enough way to keep people, not feeling like, oh, whatever. But I was doing it from the perspective of, I've done this so many times. I know if you don't sign up today, there's no chance you're signing up at all. And if I really think that I can help you, I have to get you to sign up today, because that's how I'm going to help you. And only a salesman who can really think about the fact that like what I am trying to get you to do is the best thing for you, and all the problems you're having in business are the reason you're not signing up today. I have to punch you through those barriers and these things that you've been ignoring for sometimes 30 years. I have to get you to that, through that today, or else it's not going to happen. And that's just the truth. I mean, it was just a joke how many people would be like, yeah, I'm going to talk to my spouse. I'm going to talk to my accountant, and we're going to call you tomorrow. Nobody ever called the next day. It was literally like 1 out of 100. And I am not kidding. And so I knew I had to make it happen right then and right there. And so that is a different approach, and it is a much heavier skill set. And that is the truth. But if we really look at like the undercut of even what I was doing there, when it's the quote unquote high pressure sales, whatever, I'm just trying to help a person solve a problem. And I know the best way to solve that problem is right there with me at that point in time, and not tomorrow, because tomorrow is never going to come. Because for the last 20 years, this business owner has been saying, I'm going to fix that tomorrow. And that's 20 years of never fixing it. I know I got to punch through, and I've got to hit that person in a way that they wake up. It's like, oh my gosh, you're right. I have been saying I'm going to fix it for 20 years and I'm not. So like I had to get them to see that. And so that does take a bit of a higher skill set than just the average small business owner. But for everybody that we're talking to today, whether it's you or your staff, whatever, you got to understand that the only thing you're doing on a sales call is understanding the person's problem to where you duplicate what Abby's problem is that she's trying to solve. And until I duplicate what that problem is, I don't talk money. I don't talk about pricing. I just sit there and ask enough questions until I go, That's what you're trying to do. Okay, that's exactly what we do. And this is how we do it. And this is the cost. And these are your options. What's best for you? That's it. The whole sales process of an hour-long consultation is 60 seconds. If it takes you more than 60 seconds to go over your financials, you're doing it wrong.
Yeah, and I just something I've kind of realized through our conversation here from the perspective of someone who's selling, and maybe that's not the main thing that I want to be doing. I'd rather be focusing exclusively on delivery of our clients. But I think that the pre-qualification part of your sales process is important, because if you're getting the bills of the world, it makes the sales process less fun. And
yeah,
Neil can handle it. Neil's been like through the ringer. He's seen every situation. He lets it roll off his back. It's like whatever.
Yeah.
For someone like me who's still new, I'm still getting confident. I need more wins before I'll feel better. So something that I started doing is, again, people can book a call with me. And what was happening was similar to Neil, where I'd have this time blocked out on my calendar. I open up Zoom and they never show up. And that just disqualifies them, unless it's, I've had one person out of the several that have ghosted me be like, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry, something came up, and that's totally fine. But I actually started sending an automated email before our calls with, here's some information, and here's a number where you can text me if something comes up. Please let me know so that I can clear my calendar and book something else for that time. And I have noticed an increase in show. I haven't had any ghosts since sending out that email, knock on wood. But just something as simple as that, of kind of politely saying, hey, my time is valuable. So if you end up not wanting to talk to me, just please let me know so I can move on down the road. Same thing goes with our Adventure to Profit program. There is an application process, because I do want to make sure that I feel like I can help you reach your goal. But I do have people who apply that, give a 1-word, 2-word description in the application, and I need more information. And when I reach out and they don't respond, I'll try a couple times. Hey, can you just tell me a little bit more about this so I can make sure, this is the right program for you? If they don't respond, then they're off my radar. And it's not in like an uppity way, but just in a way of, they must not have that pressing of a problem or pain point if they aren't even going to take the time to respond to me, So
Yeah.
It's a better use of my time to be focusing on the people who are responding to me, because I know I can help them because they're actually communicating with me.
Yeah. Yeah. And we have an interesting at Matterhorn, or, anytime you're trying to help another business with your product, the problem that they're trying to solve is their inability to run their business. And so we're trying to help them run their business. And when a person can't see that their inability to run their business is stopping them from growing their business with us, you have to walk away, because you're like, well, I can't do this Zoom call. I can't do this. I don't have time to study or read Profit First or implement anything just because I'm running around. If they don't see that that's a problem, there's nothing I can do for them.
Yeah.
And so we end up in an interesting situation sometimes where the problem that they're coming to us for is the thing that's stopping them from solving that problem, which is a little bit different than like, fixing my brick patio or, something along that line. There's a different, what's the word? It's just a different dynamic that you're trying to solve. So the type of selling that you have gotten into, Abby, is the hardest type of selling, really.
Oh, yay.
Which means when you go and sell other stuff, because this is what happened to me. When I broke out of the business to business sales and started doing more like business to customer sales, I was like, how is this so freaking easy? Like, I was like, oh my gosh. Like, I answer their questions and I tell them what it is, and I have an 80% close ratio. This is the life, right? It's just,
So I'm in the wrong business, is what
you're in the wrong
telling.
business.
But even something as simple like with the question we got earlier, like I don't know what business you have, but if you are a painter and you only do commercial painting, but you keep getting phone calls for residential paint jobs, you're going to get annoyed. You're going to be like, oh, this is a waste of time, or your team is going to get annoyed. Like, why am I wasting my time talking to these people who want residential paint jobs? So that's just like a step where even just switching something on your website so that it's more clear that you only do commercial, or they have to submit a form, or that's a whole nother topic in video. We have other videos about pre-qualifying, but that's just why I wanted to bring up that point is if you are talking to qualified people who actually want what you're selling and not coming to you for new shoes when you're a chiropractor, then it's that one little thing that can make the sales process more enjoyable for you if you aren't usually a fan of selling.
Yeah, exactly. Is just kind of do something to pre-qualify that out so that you're not wasting your time with a bunch of people that you have no business trying to help or something like that. And the other thing is, if you ask a bunch of questions to somebody and you realize that what they want is not what you do, just point them in the right direction to get what they want and understand it's not a failed close. You're not a bad salesman. That person's not looking for what it is that you do. So don't try and help somebody that you can't help. That's where salesmen fall down a lot, is that they end up with trying to help somebody and they can't. Now, the flip side of that is you can't say every failed close was because they were a bad prospect or the wrong prospect or they had no money. There's a balance that has to happen there. But if I'm selling if I work at the Mercedes dealership and somebody comes in and, they're bringing their wife's car in for an oil change, and I start talking to him and he's telling me he's in the line for a new car and, he's going to get this, a Porsche 911 GT3 RS. Oh, I love the Porsche and I'm going to track it. And I'm going to do all these things. And then I go, well, hey, the new AMG GTR is even better. And the guy's like, no, I've been wanting a Porsche my whole life. I just sold my house and now I'm going to get my dream Porsche. I'm not going to sit there and waste 3 hours because this guy just sold his house and has $200,000 he wants to spend on a Porsche and then try and convince him to buy a Mercedes. That dude's never going to buy a Mercedes because he's about to buy his dream car. Don't waste your time. Be like, dude, when you get your Porsche, here's my cell phone number. If you could come and I could give it a test drive, I'd fucking love it, right? Okay, good. He'll buy a Mercedes for his wife from you the next time she needs another Mercedes. That's the problem-solving process that you have to think with, right? So these are the types of things as a salesman that go through your mind, and this is what you have to think with. So I'm going to leave it there, Ab. I think that somehow we've gone 43 minutes.
I know.
I thought I was going to struggle for 12 minutes, but no, not really. I'm always able to talk about something. But this is the entry point to selling. If you can't sell, if you can't understand what the person's problem is, don't try and sell them anything. And after you understand the problem, and then you present a solution for it, the sales process is literally 60 seconds. How do you want to pay? This is how it works next. I send you this DocuSign. All you do is fill that out, put your credit card information in. My treasury department takes care of that. And then my scheduling person calls you tomorrow to get your brick oven built. Does that work for you? Perfect. If I send you that DocuSign now, would you be able to fill it out today? You would? Beautiful. Because as soon as I get that filled out, then I can schedule you, and my schedule is getting packed and I don't want you to have to wait 2-3 months. People will fill that out right there in front of you so that they can get scheduled and get started. That was the entire sales process, 60 seconds. It's everything you do up to that that's going to determine how easy that 60-second process actually is. Mm-hmm. Cool. Well, thank you all for joining us. We're going to be doing more weekly lives. We have some exciting information for our loyal viewers that we're going to be announcing in a couple of weeks about the future of the Matterhorn channel. We have some exciting collabs and things that are going on that I can't talk about yet, but we will be announcing a huge partnership that we are securing with a fantastic company that is going to help everybody grow their business with us. So stay tuned for that. We will do another weekly live, maybe next Friday at noon. I got to look at my schedule, but we want to definitely get into the noonish times of doing some live streams, because that seems to be a lot better for everybody. So thank you all very much. Thanks to my guest, Abby, for joining us today. And we will see you all next time.
Bye, everybody.